Ladies, these days, if you gotta be a side chick, please be careful. Meet Dominique. She was a single mother of 4 in Oxford, Mississippi, and in 2018, she became the willing side chick of this guy, Matthew. Now, Matthew was a white, married father of 3, and a police officer with the Oxford PD. And their arrangement was simple. He would get the hawk tour from time to time, and she would get her bills paid and other kinds of financial help. What was most important to Matthew, though, was that all of this was kept on the low. He really didn't want anyone knowing of his association with Dominique. And let me quickly throw this in there. This was Matthew's second marriage. His first wife purportedly unalived herself, and Matthew was a person of interest in that case, but nothing ever came of it. Anyway, it seemed like Dominique and Matthew had a very transactional relationship. Like, he paid her rent from time to time, he gave her a down payment for a car, he even helped her purchase some real estate. But as this affair continued, things started to get more serious. According to her family, Dominique wasn't happy being the side chick, and after a while, she wanted Matthew to leave his wife. Of course, Matthew wasn't going to do that. He didn't even want to be seen with Dominique, much less leave his wife to go be with her. When it was made perfectly clear that he wasn't leaving his wife, Dominique wanted to end the relationship. I can just imagine Matthew thinking about all the money he spent and is currently spending and thought to himself, nah, you gon' be the side chick and be happy with it. But the next time Dominique needed something financially, I imagine Matthew was there to help, so the affair continued. A few months later, Dominique found herself pregnant. When she told Matthew about the pregnancy, then he was ready to end the affair. He felt like things had gotten too far and wanted her to terminate the pregnancy. Remember, the one thing that he wanted was for all of this to be kept on the low. Tell me why. Dominique said not only is she going to keep the baby, but she about to expose Matthew to his wife. Now, I'm not sure if she was saying that just like in the heat of the moment or if she was for real, but Matthew wasn't taking no chances. So one night, Dominique tells Matthew to come on over because her kids were gone for the weekend. She was thinking they was going to be doing one thing, but he was thinking about something much darker. He was one of those cops who patrolled on horseback sometimes, so he went to the barn where the cops kept the horses and left his phone there. He didn't want his movements to be tracked. He then pulled up to Dominique's crib and parked down the street. She left the door unlocked for him, so when he walks inside, he noticed that Dominique was asleep. That's when he left the apartment, went back to his patrol car, grabbed the heater, went back to the apartment, and squeezed one off into her head. She was unalived immediately. He then left the apartment again, went back to the barn, got his phone, and then sent her a text. When the kids came home a couple days later, they were the ones who discovered her body. Investigators were called in, and they immediately got to work. Dominique and Matthew's relationship was soon discovered. The Oxford PD had the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations take over the case due to the conflict of interest. Matthew was brought in for questioning, and he admitted to having an affair with her, but suggested that maybe she unalived herself. Sounds pretty familiar, huh? And believe it or not, they actually believed him for a while. And this made her family angry because how was she going to unalive herself when they found no heater in her apartment? Unfortunately for him, they ended up finding surveillance footage of him parking his patrol car down the street. He thought he was being slick, and it didn't even work. They got him in 4K coming in and out of the apartment. He was charged with capital, and to avoid the death penalty, he ended up pleading guilty and getting life in prison. Dominique's family filed a wrongful death suit against the Oxford PD, and they ended up settling for $2.2 million. Moral of the story, please be careful who you allow yourself to be a side chick to. Just saying. R.I.P. Dominique.
Rest in peace to this lady. It's sad. Our condolences go out to both families, actually. Both his and hers, because with this one man's careless actions, with him plotting this thing out as far as he went to do it, 4 children lost their mother, 5 if you count the one that was growing inside of her womb, and this guy had 3 kids of his own. Now their mother is going in a box, and his kids, their dad is going in a cage. Chances are he's going to be there under protective custody because chances are he put half of those guys in there. You can't leave that guy in general population. Not with those charges. Not being an ex-cop. There's no way. Because a real bad accident is going to happen in the shower or in the child line. You know, the good old Swiss cheese treatment. So no, that can't be allowed to happen. He'll never breathe free air again. But this whole thing goes back to a big myth in our society, guys. There are women who truly believe that women are better cheaters than men. What an amazing thing to want to brag about. But they're only half right in that case, guys. Because the only reason women are so-called better cheaters than men is because men and women want such different things from each other. For instance, women default to security, they default to protection, and they will also seek out sexual fulfillment. That's a bonus. But what women will do is they'll use their sexuality to secure a guy who's going to pay their bills for them, or at least half or more. That's their move. When it comes to men, we want to conquer as much coochie as will allow us to. Hopefully not catch a disease or an unwanted pregnancy along the way, if possible. We're not the same. And so when you hear women say goofy things like they're better cheaters, no. Because what will happen is, if you are the kind of guy who's got something going for you, you're handsome, you're in good shape, you got money coming in, and your stroke game is on point, guys, what few oxytocin receptors are left in her brain. Remember, this woman had 4 kids, guys. This don't even count how many times she was getting her cheeks clapped before her first kid was born, before her first pregnancy. So who knows what the body count was by this point in the game. What few receptors in her brain for bonding were even left impossible were getting clapped out like crazy by this Matthew guy. A white dude, a white police officer down in the dirty South, which again, I know in the 21st century, I appreciate that, but you gotta understand, with this guy being married with kids and a member of the police department, him having a black side chick with 4 kids would have been heavily frowned upon in that environment. I don't care what y'all say, I'm telling you, it wouldn't have gone over well. Like a concrete balloon, that's how that would have went over, okay? He, as mentioned, wanted to keep this quiet. We get our freak on, I come clap you up, I drop some dollars off, you keep your mouth shut. And that's the situation. But the thing about it is, guys, if you're the kind of guy that's got all that going for him, if you're the kind of guy who is really laying that pipe the way she never had it before, it's only a matter of time before she does what a side dude would never do. See, a side dude is going to blow that back out and go home. He ain't got to listen to her day, her problems. He ain't gonna take out for Valentine's Day. He ain't buying her gifts because whatever gift he buy her, that's evidence. Hey, where'd you get this necklace from? Where'd you get this lingerie you never wore for me from? Where them shoes come from? These are questions she don't want to answer. Too much like work. He comes over or she goes to him. He tears out the frame, send her back home to her man. Let him deal with the problems. Why would a side dude compromise his position? But a side chick, she is always gunning for the main chick spot. She is always gunning for to have the full thing. She wants the house in the suburbs. She wants the name on the end of her name. She wants all that stuff, bro. And the wife has it all. She knows she is a permanent silver medal at best. And a woman's ego can't handle it. Side chicks aren't made like they used to, fellas. I've talked to my uncles. I've talked to the OGs at old jobs I used to have. Guys who were my dad's age and older. They told me about how side chicks used to carry it back in the 80s. Back in the 90s, back in the 70s. They used to carry it different back then. You could have a whole, to hear the OGs tell it, fellas, you could have had you a whole family across town. And all that other chick would have done is told the kids you had with her which girls, if she had, say it was all boys. Let's say your side chick had all boys, 3 or 4 boys with her and 4 or 5 with your main old lady back at the house. If you had daughters, they would, the side chick would tell their sons which girls they couldn't date. They never tell them why. But you can't date that girl, or that one. They off limits because they didn't want them issues. But now, today, in the DNA test era, this guy, for all his planning, for all his plotting, he forgot about 2 very important details. Number 1, Ring doorbells are everywhere. They record you 24 hours a day in 4K and in night vision. He overlooked that aspect. And number 2, upon this lady getting shot in the head with no gun on the scene, laying next to the body, aren't they going to do an autopsy? Yes. Upon the autopsy, aren't they going to discover she's pregnant? Yes. And aren't they going to give her a cesarean section to take that baby out and do a DNA test on it? Yes. As a law enforcement officer, I can speak to this one right here. I'm not law enforcement, but I am ex-military. My DNA is in CODIS, and CODIS is the Combined DNA Index System. Basically, if you go into the service or if you go into law enforcement, they put your DNA in CODIS because it has to pop up in case you get involved with a case. When they discovered That baby belonged to him. The gig was 100% up, guy. And he was so determined not to let the secret out, he didn't give a damn. Deep sixed her right there in bed. Boom, one and done. And then left her body there for the kids to find. Come on, guys. You have to live your life. I'm going to do a whole episode on this. Not right now, because my time is limited for the day. But I tell you what, I'm going to do a whole episode on leverage and how you must build your life to remove as many leverage points from yourself to other people who would abuse them. She wanted the main spot. She did. But she had nothing to use to get that spot until that pregnancy test came back positive. And now she was letting him bring his whole house of cards crashing down. And nothing he could have done about it. Because one thing about it, had she shown up on that lady's front porch when he wasn't home with that mixed baby and the 23andMe results in her hand, it would have got a whole lot uglier, a whole lot faster. And he had lost it all. Alimony, child support on 3 kids, 4 now with the one she's got. Yeah, he won't be trying to pay that kind of money, bro. But now he's paying an even worse price. So yeah, fellas, if you got a side chick, man, be careful. Because if you really are laying that pipe to her and you really giving it to her, bro, it's just a matter of time before she step out of pocket, violate the rules y'all have established, and come for that number 1 spot. Not caring who she destroyed in the process. Be careful out here, fellas. Watch yourselves. Watch your back. And if you can't handle more than one at a time, try to lock in because it's not a game no more. That said, fellas, that's my time. Like the video, comment down below. Share with a friend, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Never let your brother suffer in silence when the truth can set him free. Networkers, we working. Until next time.